Maybe this is what I do. Am I that person can stand already? Hey girl, we are. So cute. With the like, yells like, hey. Don't wait, crazy.
This is an 87. I don't have an 87.
Mom, that's not a review ever. Mom, why are other people in the chat? Mom.
I have Spanish and then I have both
Sit down.
Yeah, I'm not
It's called Legionnaire. That's telling me that you.
And my bio's gotta be so light. Yeah, I know. I'm excited.
Wait.
And I'm thinking, like, oh, yeah. I'm thinking my final on weekend first is your Wednesday, so I don't have to like worry about it. It's only Wednesday. So lucky. You know, I'm so happy about it. So I get like a good study for it. And then I have history. You guys have a thing.
So.
It's the dance show this week. Oh, that's your final. Yeah. Sunday.
Is that it? Is it just there?
I think so. Don't worry, guys, I'll be there. Are you still in dance? Are you gonna do it next year?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's short schedule next year.
Oh, tax.
So I don't know.
I wish I could take a short step back. I wish I could take it. Yeah. It feels like it should be the end of the day right now.
It's so long.
Like, I'm not.
Another period. No.
It does.
It feels like hours.
Negotiation.
Oh, yeah, we finished our negotiations. Yeah.
No, first period didn't finish. So that was like our problem. I think
Yes, it was no problem.
we could not know the math.
It was so funny. But it's okay because you killed time for us. We got set there. We have to take the quiz. Like, I want to do a 50 thing. No, don't. We're not making money right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not. He's like, well, it's still. I'll wait by the I was Talbot 5. I was Talbot 5. Bye, honey.
Thank you. I'd like to share with you my phone charm. It's a little car. It's a bell.
Super cute.
I call it Meep. I like that name. In other news, one second. In other news, my fellow cautioners forced me to take one of the online RADS autism tests that the doctors use. On a scale of 25 to 227, I got 157.
Is that, what's the cutoff?
Well, 227, that's the cutoff.
No, I mean like, spectrum wise, where it was like,
That's,
is it
well,
yes
what-
or no? Is it like?
well, the fact that I got a score review that yes.
Oh, I see.
And one of my friends in my auto shop class, when I told him this, he has an actual diagnosis. He's like, oh, when I took that test, I got 90. What'd you get? I'm like, 157. He's like, damn, bro, you hella autistic. So I have to do something with that at some
Do
point.
you though? Because what's
Right.
it gonna change about your life? We're all
Nothing,
about, we
right?
all have stuff. You just figure out
Right.
coping mechanisms.
Exactly. So
Listen, I wouldn't,
see where that goes, but it's just kind of fun. Yeah. Anyway.
bye.
Yesterday.
I think, oh, wait, hold on. It's not bad, right?
I know, I'm just going to take that. Oh my God, I didn't know. Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Watch the road.
But I thought that was very interesting.
Oh,
Why not? Oh, no, no.
I didn't read the book yet.
My phone's not showing up, looks like they're not showing up, but. That's 5 questions, that's like 4 or 5 questions.
Is there more DeAndre Swift golf
Jim Dore says he's always a good play, so he's playing a slot. Right?
I'm not worried against DJ Moore on Tavarius Wardrobe.
I didn't know exactly what I wanted to.
Hey, this is how we play.
I'm actually not aware. I watched it.
Yeah, you would know. What it is. You would know. What? I love, give Chris a reason. Chris, I really love. Probably blind, he's probably blind, but. You're gonna. I knew so. What?
Hey, Jamie.
All right, 4:30? Yeah.
They all waited.
One of them,
On all of the back.
bro, I was talking to him. Having period. I got it.
Oh, no. So it's fine. We can do it.
Where is that?
Just leave that in the photo.
But I don't know.
We'll do these notes today and.
Well, that's unfair.
It'll be fine. You did something. You did a homework.
I'm bringing up the conversation.
Hey, why you doing?
Hey, which one of you is gonna, and who are you gonna be? You're gonna, okay, take my oath.
Oh, man. This is, that was quick.
What?
Hi guys, can you please get your yellow sheets out while we're doing our stuff? Okay, so. There's gonna be a slight spoiler here. Ooh, hold on. Oh, it is recording. Okay, good. A slight spoiler in that there are 4 different types of sampling distributions that we are going to study in this chapter. And I'm gonna put this here so that you could see this is what we did yesterday. Does that make sense? And then this is what we're gonna do today. And then the next we're gonna do is means. And then 2 means. I'm telling you that now so that you can kind of know exactly where this is going. And you'll know where the formulas are. We can actually take these and put them straight into our notes right now. So I wanted to show you this first because this is really where this should live. But if you take this and put it into the center spot for sampling distribution of p hat 1 minus p hat 2. So the mean of p hat 1 minus p hat 2 is p1 minus p2. I got that straight from there. Okay, then there's the standard deviation formula. So just copy that straight into your notes, except we need to write a statement here. Does this make sense from what we did yesterday? Okay, just making sure. It's not my best writing of that, but that's okay. Okay, once you write this down in the center and spread spot, flip back to 7.2a. What did it say for shape? Right, large counts condition. Okay, now using your powers of the fact that you're educated children, what do you think the shape is going to need
in p hat one minus p hat two? Same thing, except for has to be both of them. So okay, so what is the difference between this and yesterday? Really? Yeah, there's two of them. It's kind of annoying because you gotta check four things instead of two things. You gotta check 10% conditions. You've gotta more business to plug into a formula, but other than that, it's the same. So it's the same, but with more annoying. At least it's not hard, it's just annoying. Okay, the thing that you guys need to do really isn't so much, like the formulas and whatnot. It's more the difficulty that my students had when when I was looking at the tests for this chapter, they were having trouble figuring out what the problem wanted. And so, because I've told you I've been analyzing last year's test as to avoid any kind of like tragedy. And so before you write this, I want you guys to think about why this would be two separate populations instead of just one. Two bags. Yeah. Bag one and bag two. Yeah. Mhm. You know what I did with my simple random samples of goldfish crackers? I ate them. Isn't that what you do? Mm-hmm. It's the only correct answer.
Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my red pen. And I don't know if you guys have colors if you want to. I am going to just mark up what each of these things are. So this is P1 because it's bag 1, so that's proportion 1. 35% is P2. 50 is N1 and 40 is N2. Because there's sample size of 50 from bag 1, sample size of 40 from 2. So P1, P2, N1, N2. Those are really the only numbers that you need from to do all this stuff. Okay, what is the shape? So the shape is large counts. And I'm going to check bag 1. And I'm going to check bag 2. I don't know why my 2 is so far away from the bag, but that's fine. Okay, so N1 times P1 greater than or equal to 10. N1 times 1 minus P1 greater than or equal to 10. N2 P2 greater than or equal to 10. N2 1 minus P2 greater than or equal to 10. Okay, so what's a quarter of 50? 12 and a half? Okay, now this one, if that's 12.5, this one has to be 37.5, right? You guys know that those two have to add up to 50? Okay. Oh, goodness, I don't know this one. 14 even? So that means this one has to be 26? 36? 26. 26. Okay, they all were greater than or equal to 10. So the shape is normal. If any one of them is not, then it's non-normal, or you can check the graph if they give you a graph. Any questions about that? Yeah, it's the same thing we did yesterday, it's just more. Like it's even more fun. Okay. And so much darn puff, you can't even stand it. Sorry, it's YouTube reference. Okay. Find the mean of the sampling distribution. This is going to be rough. So the mean of p hat 1 minus p hat 2 is P1 minus P2. 0.25 minus 0.35, which is negative 0.10. Man. Woo! Yeah, that was it. Okay, now I'm going to flip my page over. This is the end, by the way, already. It is. And we do have a lot to do in C, but it's okay. C is short. Sorry for anyone watching the video. Sorry. Sorry, thirsty. My bad. I'm thirsty, that's all. Yeah. I do. I haven't had one in so long. I don't even know what they're called anymore. Give me some options. Isn't there one that's like the crazy name? Yeah, that's it. I gotta say, I haven't had one in, I don't know, 7, 8 years. But I mean, pretty sure that was my order, or to finish whatever my children wouldn't. Anyway, okay. Calculate and interpret the standard deviation of the sampling distribution. Verify the 10% condition has been met. These directions are kind of backwards. You're supposed to verify the 10% condition in order to do the standard deviation. So we're going to do that first because that's proper. Okay, so for bag one, what was the sample size? Okay, so we're gonna have to assume that these are kind of big bags. And so we're gonna get into two different little stats discussions here. It was 50, right? When you do some stats problems, you're going to have to make some assumptions. This one might make you stop a second and be like, oh, is there really 500 goldfish in the bag? That's kind of a big bag of goldfish. Okay, what I need you to do is not dwell on that, make a check mark and move on with the problem. You're not gonna be able to leave like a whole FRQ blank because you're not sure if there's 500 goldfish in the bag. You're just gonna check it and move on. So stats is gonna have some assumptions like that in it, and it's okay. What was the other one? 40? There's one other little thing we need to talk about at the end of this at D that you're gonna come across a lot. Now, if they give you a number and it's one of those problems where it's like in the R problems or T problems, and it's like, what is wrong with this problem? And they might say, oh, well, the sample size is more than 10% of the population. Like they give you, like what's wrong with this picture sort of deal. But if it's just like this, check it off, move on with life. Okay. Now, what was the standard deviation formula? Okay, 0.25, 1 minus 0.25. This is bag one, so that's 50. Plus, and then we do bag two, 0.35. It was 35, right? Minus 0.35 over 4.
If you're showing your work, you put like 0.25, that'd be okay.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Zero 0.097. Haven't we seen that before? It's not like the same as the M&M's one. Weird. That's not a usual. They're not all like that. Don't think that's a thing. Okay, now last thing it says interpret.
Ah, it's so funny. Oh man, that is so much better than last year's. Oh no, just think about like difference in sample proportions. So if you have like plain M&Ms and peanut M&Ms, and you take, wait, are there blue peanut M&Ms? There are blue. Okay, anyway, so let's say you take a sample of plain M&Ms and you take a sample of peanut M&Ms, like there might be more in the peanut. So if you go plain minus peanut, it might be negative. If you did peanut minus plain, it would be positive. Okay, last thing. Find the probability that the proportion of red crackers in bag 1 is greater than the proportion of red crackers in bag 2. This one requires us to have our little conversation about something you're going to come across in stats. The first thing was this. Sometimes you have to make assumptions about the size of the population just to move on with the problem. This is another one. So does it make sense to you guys that because this says probability, we're going to do normal CDF? Okay, because we found it was normal, we found a mean, we found a standard deviation. Okay, what we need to do now is figure out our low and our high. And it says that the proportion of red crackers in bag 1 is greater than proportion in bag 2. So I translate it like this. I go proportion in bag 1 is greater than the proportion in bag 2. And then I subtract P2 from both sides and I say P hat 1 minus P hat 2 is to be greater than 0. And I'll show you what that does for you. So now your P hat 1 minus P hat 2 matches all the stuff you calculated in your formula, and you can find greater than 0 in normal CDF. So greater than 0 would be your low of 0 and your high of infinity. And then mean standard deviation. I almost messed up that decimal point right there. Did you see what I did there? So I translated straight from the problem. Proportion in bag 1 is greater than proportion in bag 2. Then I subtracted proportion of bag 2 from both sides so that this would match this. I want those to match. And that gave me greater than 0. And then I made this greater than 0, mean standard deviation. Was that helpful? I hope. Okay, so normal CDF, 0, infinity, negative 0.1, 0.097, 1513. Okay. So right now you guys should be analyzing the homework problems for if I'm working with one population or two. If I'm working with one population, I'm using the top row in the yellow sheet. And if you're working with two populations, I'm working with that second row, the formula. And if it's two populations, it's annoying because you have to check the large count twice and you have to check the 10% twice. But everything else is